Hello and welcome to Brock11, where we're not just talking about culture, we're building it by design. I'm Laura Brocklehurst, CEO of Brock11, and your guide on this journey toward the transformative workplace environment. Today, we're going to dive into the heart of what makes a truly dynamic workplace. We're going to talk about psychological safety. So, whether you're leading a team or you're part of a team, grab a seat and let's explore together how to create spaces where everyone can thrive. So let's begin by talking about the basics. What is psychological safety? Harvard Business School professor Amy Edmondson is the person that actually coined this term, and she defines it as a belief that one will not be punished or humiliated for speaking up with ideas, questions, concerns, or mistakes. It's about feeling comfortable being yourself and expressing your thoughts without fear or negative consequences. In a psychologically safe workplace, employees feel valued and respected. They're confident to take risks because they know that if they make a mistake, they're going to learn from it. They're confident in voicing their opinions, and it's a culture that fosters openness and creativity and really engages the learning aspect. So now let's talk about what does psychological safety look like when it's in practice. And there's several signs to really look out for. First of all, you're going to see high engagement in a psychologically safe environment. Teams with psychological safety, they're more engaged because they feel their opinions matter. And next, their diversity. There's a lot of diversity in the thought in their departments and in their areas because these teams, they don't just echo each other or what the senior leader of the company says. They're not just puppets, they don't echo it. They feel safe to bring unique perspectives and they feel comfortable doing this. And another sign is you're going to see a high level of resilience. Teams with psychological safety in place, they bounce back faster from setbacks. And the reason that this happens is because they're not afraid to discuss and to learn from their failures. On the flip side, let's talk about what happens when there's an absence of psychological safety. So, in the environments where psychological safety is missing, the atmosphere is going to be quite different. And here's some things that you might notice. First of all, there's a big culture of fear. People are afraid to speak up. They're afraid to challenge the status quo. They go along with it, even if they don't agree with it. In situations like this, you might hear leaders say something like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And if you find yourself saying that a lot, there's probably a good chance that psychological safety can be improved in your workplace. And then you're going to see a reluctance to innovate. So without the safety net to have failure, people are going to stick to tried and true methods, even if they're outdated. If there's not a safety net there that, okay, if this doesn't work, it's not my head, right? I'm going to be okay. I'm going to bounce back from it. I'm going to learn from the failure. I'm going to do it differently. And lastly, you're going to notice a higher level of turnover rates. So if employees don't feel valued or heard, they're likely to look for other opportunities. And it's never going to be about the money. I've said that 1,000 times. That is an easy conversation for people to have. It's very non-confrontational, and it's always going to turn into that when people leave. But it's never the underlying reason. There's always something within the culture, a lack of psychological safety, or something else that triggered that employee to think about leaving. So clearly, in the absence of psychological safety, there's dire consequences to companies. But don't worry, if you feel like maybe you're in a workplace that doesn't have a good level of psychological safety, and you're a leader that can change that, there's ways for you to cultivate it. So let's talk about what that looks like. And there's some really small steps that you can take that will make a really big difference. And one of them is to make sure that you're leading by example. And when I say leading by example, that is really a cliche term. What I mean by that is showing vulnerability and admitting your own mistakes. And if you're willing to be vulnerable, there's two sides to that coin. You have to allow your people to be vulnerable too, and to learn from their mistakes and to grow, and to not overreact whenever mistakes happen. So, this is going to set the tone for openness and learning. And then encouraging a practice of active listening. Again, another cliche term that is used probably a little bit too much, but what does it mean in action when we talk about active listening? That's showing your team that their thoughts and opinions are valued. And showing is not nodding your head when they're talking. So showing your team that their opinions are valued and that they matter is taking action. That's whenever you show that you've listened. You take action and you do something with what you've heard. You either you try to implement, or you change strategy a little bit, or if you can't do those things, you provide an educational opportunity to share with your employee why maybe it can't be done that way, and you use it as an educational opportunity. It can't be a beat down, can't be that's a dumb idea. It's got to be an educational opportunity where the employee walks away with a better understanding of why what they said may not be the best option. And then also creating a feedback rich environment. So constructive feedback is necessary, but it needs to be delivered empathetically. It helps people grow, it helps people feel supported. When you're giving constructive feedback, you don't want your employee walking away um, feeling defeated, or putting them into survival mode, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my job. You want them to walk away because they looked at that feedback through a lens that they weren't looking at it before, and they see more clearly now why they need to do things differently, and they walk away motivated to do things differently. So these are just a few beginning steps that will help you in creating a psychologically safe workplace. It's an ongoing process, but it starts with us, the leaders, the managers, the team members, everybody around your table is responsible for creating a psychologically safe workplace. So that's a wrap for today's topic, psychological safety in the workplace. And remember, the best teams are those where everyone feels safe to be themselves and share their ideas. And as we say here at Brock11, we're building culture by design. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, share it, and follow for more insightful discussions. Drop your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. I'd sure love to hear how psychological safety plays out in your workplace. Until next time, keep nurturing a positive and inclusive work culture.